I don't know why I expected it to be like streaming in progress. All right. Whew. We're getting started a little late, but we are back with A Crown of Cold Iron. Last time, our heroes progressed deeper and deeper into Fairy itself, trailing multiple threads. They're seeking both missing humans who seem to have been trafficked into Fairy by Oryx's own cousins, Argent and Stultus. They are pursuing Cyrus's missing mentor, Mort, who himself seems to be some kind of ancient creature. We've not really gotten to hear it from the Raven's mouth yet. We'll hear more, I guess, if you can find him. And finally, Auric is in a position to have some conversations with his patron, Lord Lambton, the figure that has been shaping much of his life up to this point. Last time, the group stopped for a rest in the city of. I'll let Auric pronounce it again for us.
Trefdraig.
Trefdraig, which is the village of Silver Fey Dragonborn, from which Auric hails. The village was confused, surprised, kind of happy, I guess, to have Auric and these strange companions, except for the village's Fey sentry, who seemed very unhappy with the guests, but did not actually stop you all. So Jordmer, who is functionally sort of the mother of everyone in this town, and is also the keeper of the hatchery, a sort of magical dragonborn spawn point.
Yes.
You all were speaking with her when something went wrong with the hatchery. You all ran out. Auric and Lexi were somehow able to fix some kind of magical power loss that was hitting at a crucial moment. In the process, Auric shook something loose that had been lingering in the system since before his own time. Lexi accidentally interjected Hero Light into the process, and four beautiful, bouncing little Dragonborn were born. Although these were marked in unusual and interesting ways. Two having the sort of gold scales that Auric himself has. One glowing with what appears to be hero light in a very distinctly Lexi-esque way. And one that has unusual dark gray patches of scale.
Lexi did not think that this was how she was going to become a mother. Definitely not.
So we pick up with our. Yeah, we're going to pick up right where we left off. We are at the hatchery. Jordmer is looking down at these sort of wailing, like, little dragonborn. What are you all going to do?
Oh.
Am I allowed to hold the one that looks like me? Because I really kind of want to.
Is Lexi saying that out loud?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Although she's going to word it a little better. She's not going to say the one that looks like me because none of them look like Lexi.
Jordan
Just point to the one that has the hero light.
Jordmer is like, of course you. They wouldn't be here without you. And she hands you this like glowing, almost sizzling, dragonborn infant. It it really resembles like a tiny, chubby lizard, almost.
I bet it still looks cute.
Yeah, it's almost spherical. still. It's still roughly egg shaped. Tiny little arms, just all scale. But this one, you can smell, has that sort of like, sort of sweet, sweet spirits smell coming off of it. Every so often, it kind of and like burps like a big cloud of faintly glowing mist. It just stares up at you with big eyes.
Is there such a thing as a booze dragon?
I don't know, but I think it just occurred. I think it just happened. Hi, little buddy. I stroke its head. Yeah, that's right. Lexi does not know what to say to babies, but she is completely, enraptured with this one.
So I know Oric would know this. Is there a nursery in the town, or do they just like hang out here at the hatchery until they grow up?
They would be like taken into town. There's some spaces for sort of the newborns in interesting. There's a space for newborns in sort of communal sleeping areas. Jordanmer kind of keeps them like close at hand. I'll also get y'all to help me out. What did we name the guard?
Oh,
I didn't write that down.
it was a word that means green.
That's all I need. There we go. Ashik. Haha. Ashik is watching in confusion, and maybe a certain amount of frustration. Cyrus, what are you doing?
We're still at the. I don't know what Cyrus is doing. We're still at the hatchery, like, because Cyrus was basically out of the loop as to everything that was going on.
Cyrus just sees Lexi standing there with a baby dragonborn that's burping like amber liquid. Amber, not liquid, but gas, I guess.
There's liquid too.
It's baby, so yeah.
It's too viscous to be purely liquid.
I think Cyrus is like, all right, we saved the babies. We ready to keep going?
I want to hold the baby.
Oh. How strong is Oric again? Oh, strength of 8. Never mind. I'm probably not picking up 2 babies.
Probably not.
The baby with the gray patches of scale is not really making noise. Oric, it's just staring at you with big dark eyes.
Might be the baby you have to pick up, Oric.
Well, I suppose at the very least we can get these babies to the nursery, and I will go and pick up the gray baby.
All right. So between you all, you're able to kind of help out here. Cyrus, give me an insight check.
$15.
Ashik is very unsettled. As we kind of said, you're sort of at the back of whatever this was. Like, this happened very quickly, and there was a bit of a light show. and Auric and Lexi were sort of pulled into this craziness. But you sort of held back for a moment, and so you're able to see Ashik is getting like Ashik is furious. So you all are able to. I will grab everyone together. You all are all able to sort of make it back over to the building where you were at before. And Ashik is following at a slight distance. And Cyrus, you're the one who's able to spot this. There is even like a little bit of like mostly green, but with touches of sort of opalescence at the edges. This green mist is sort of seething from the corners of Ashik's mouth.
I think Cyrus will just turn to him. You got a problem there, big guy?
You can see that Ashik is like looking around and is sort of not wanting to like make this a thing in front of everybody. We'll kind of pull you off to the side a little here. But Ashik kind of says in a low voice, "You and your friends need to leave now. What you have done, these hatchlings' lives will be ruined forever because of what you've done today. You should leave before you cause any more harm."
Looks like we saved their lives.
As near as I can tell it, you wouldn't have any hatchlings if it wasn't for us. So let's dial it back down a peg or two there, Chief.
So Ashik has a very sort of intense expression all the time, partially because there is a patch of scales, like from here back, that are, or growing up, those scales were like a bright green. And now they've got sort of there's like purple and blue sort of mixed across, and it has a faint sort of shimmer to it. But it means that when Ashik's eyes sort of like, furrow, it's like very intense. This is, you can tell this is something like treading into something very personal for this person. They like start to say something, then they like look at this group of people, and like 85% of the crowd is watching these new hatchlings being carried back, and they're really excited. There's a lot of like oohing and awing. There's a handful of people who are like watching the drama over in this corner, and whatever it is, Ashik like doesn't want to say it in front of them. They just scowl and let out a and there's like a burst of green mist that actually like, it almost looks like a stylized cartoon of mist. Like it has that sort of like spiral at the bottom and like comes up in like neat like tufts at the top, and just huffs and walks off. What are y'all doing?
Well, once we get the babies set down, I need to remind myself when we ran up, or when Jordmer ran up and we followed her. I'm trying to remember what she said, if it was not now or not again, because I feel like she said something like that.
yeah, there was definitely something unusual happening. Um, I think she said something like "not now."
Okay.
She is deeply distracted by the hatchlings, but you could ask her about it.
I am going to do that. So, what exactly happened there, and how much do you know?
She sighs really deeply and says, "You all should come in."
Yeah.
So she leaves all these other. As she goes to head in, she's like, "Don't you people have jobs to do?" Much like she said earlier, as this crowd has kind of reconvened, and people start like heading back to whatever they were doing before. Arbitrarily move some of them into buildings. So she comes inside and gestures for you all to follow. And she creates like little like mounds of like blankets and pillows, and almost instinctually the hatchlings kind of like roll themselves over and kind of assume this position, looking very much like chubby little dragons asleep on their first horde. Very quickly, the air is filled with the sound of little snores, like and occasionally there are little flaming farts from these little hatchlings. And she kind of leads you all over to the other side. And there's a few chairs scattered around, and pulls them out and says, something has been interfering with the hatchery for a while now. Auric, you almost definitely felt it earlier. The magic's been flowing here for centuries, exactly the same. Even we're far enough from where the major battles took place that it's been flowing largely the same way since before the wars, before the Sundering. And something has been diverting the magic. I've been able to compensate, but this was too close. They wouldn't have been able to hatch without the magic.
I don't suppose you have any idea where the magic might be getting diverted to.
That's far above my world here.
When I was in there, did I have any sort of sense of what the issue might have, I guess, felt like?
Uh, it was almost like somewhere else, something that was part of this same sort of like fabric of magic, somewhere fairly nearby, something just grabbed a huge piece of magic and like pulled it out, and it caused everything to scatter, and caused the magic to become thinner for a while.
And Ulrich is definitely also stroking his face, even though he has no beard.
Does he have the like gold dragon barbels?
Yes, but because he's not very gold, they are very patchy.
Patchy barbels. All right.
And how long ago did this start?
It's been a few months, maybe.
Months.
It's happened maybe a dozen times. Marta surprisingly steps up here and has a little more game face on than you've seen in a while. And she says, anything that pulled that much magic all at once should be reported.
Mm-hmm.
Not just anybody can come and pull that much magic all at once.
Question. Player question, not character question.
Mm-hmm.
In game, how much time has passed since session 1?
We are getting into summer. I would say it's been 4 or 5 months.
Okay. So the timelines kind of line up.
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of just turn slowly to Cyrus and go, Blake?
Could be connected, but
As I hear that, I'm holding the baby and I go, "Oh fuck," and then cover the baby's ears.
Earmuffs.
but it's been an ongoing siphoning, right? Not just a one time.
Off and on, right?
Yeah, it's been sort of peaking. And it's become this severe that many times. Another sort of metaphor here, it would be like if one of your neighbors suddenly pulled so much power off the grid that it like knocked your neighborhood out of electricity.
So could be Blake, could be, but it seems like that would have been a once or
One
twice
and done.
done kind of thing.
Yeah. Would have had to have been something relatively close. Do you have a sense for how much further we are from your mentor?
It's not really a physical map kind of sense. It's more metaphysical, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say you do feel like you're getting closer.
Right.
Both the sort of spiritual tether that you're following, and also the physical tracks of Argent and Stultus are all sort of have all sort of headed in this way. Auric, give me giving a survival check. This is going to be a really low DC.
Okay, good, because I have a +0. Oh, how's a 17?
17 is
Nice.
perfect. So yeah, you grew up in this neighborhood. So you know that you're on sort of the edge of, how do I put it? So like this area owes allegiance to Lambton, but it kind of runs independently for the most part. You're getting close to the area that Lambton like directly oversees. And specifically, Lambton's like primary holdings run along a river. And because Lambton is sort of an arrogant prick with too many resources, he has not just one capital. He has sort of a sprawling three-part capital that runs along the length of this river. There's the North Weir, the Mid Weir, and the South Weir. Literally like running along the banks of the river. Lambton's palace itself is functionally like a pleasure barge. There are places that his barge sort of docks, like a sort of grand building at each of the points. But it is the sort of royal barge itself that is considered the capital, or considered the palace. You're very close to that area now. That would be like if this is the rural town, that's the big city. So you're probably only one more jaunt away.
And you all have now seen the town where Orc grows up, so you know he has the small town mindset of everything must be connected somehow.
Mhm.
There's no possibility that this is connected to something over there. It has to be connected to things I already know. It would be too perfect if Lamb Chop was responsible for this somehow.
It's a great name, Lamb
I
Chop.
think I did say that out loud. Did not mean to, but I did.
Jordmer kind of snorts a little bit at that. You would know, like, Jordmer has always been a big advocate for, like, doing what needs to be done to keep Lambton from, like, interfering more than necessary. But also does not have a ton of respect for the man.
Well, the babies are okay.
Would him taking power from the hatchery like diminish his own, like, because it's land under him? Is there a like subsequent diminishing of his power if he messes with it, or is it something where it's just a net positive for him?
This, I think, veers into an Arcana check.
Okay. $22.
There you go. If you'd gotten that before, you'd have had one of these dragonborn babies with feathers. Caw, caw. You can kind of do like the back of the napkin arcane math here. In the long run, this sort of like sets itself back to 0. Fairy is just this massive fabric of magic. Even the amount that was pulled is a large amount to be pulled in one place. But out of the whole vast sea, it's like someone, suddenly took like a big, like garbage can and scooped water into it. It would be a lot if you were right next to it, but in terms of the ocean, it didn't really do anything. You would guess that on a roll like that, yeah, with a 22, you would guess that there is either some kind of ongoing magical effect that is peaking every so often, or there is some kind of like ritual being performed, some kind of like large spell that seems to have been performed multiple times.
Cool. Cyrus will share with the class.
So we thinking some ritual with these poor kidnapped kids?
That's what I'm thinking.
Hmm.
Well, really, what I'm thinking is
Could
the
be
hatchlings are safe,
That's the important part right now.
and our other task may be more connected than we had originally realized, and may have a much stricter time limit than we realized. So,
potentially even could be what's opening the portal,
yeah,
because did we determine like the amount of power that it takes to have it open and stable like that is rare.
substantial. Yeah,
So could be connected to bringing in the kids, could be
Yeah, just bringing
just to be
them.
able to get them into fairy as opposed to
Yeah.
something happening with them.
yeah.
Just to knock off a red herring, because you had a pretty good Arcana check there. Everything that Alan Blake seemed able to do seemed to be tied to Summerfey, to the Sealy side of things. And it's not to say that it wouldn't be possible that that might have changed, but it almost seems like it would be strange for it to be happening here if it was related to him.
Okay.
Although, good callback, because y'all don't know where he is.
True point.
True that. All right. I guess the only thing left, only loose end here is Ashik going to be okay? Ashik didn't seem totally okay.
My dear little man.
Of anyone, I would think that you would maybe best understand Ashik's concerns, Auric. Difference is unusual here. And Cyrus, this sticks out to you, and Auric, maybe this, I don't know if this would stick out to you or not. I think in the previous session we mentioned that there was a sort of like opening act Beauty and the Beast kind of vibe here. There really is. Almost in the sense of like people do their jobs and don't worry about much. Like they just do the thing in front of them. It's a lot of like predictable patterns, the same things happening over and over and over, and there's not a lot of deviation from that. Auric, you were a deviation. People did not know what to do with you. And Ashik had the same problem, but just never seemed to manage it the way that you did. We've sort of established that like Auric didn't really, maybe we wouldn't say like didn't break the rules per se, but was not necessarily invested in the norms. Ashik was invested in the norms.
Yep.
The norms that they could never meet. This would be particularly troubling to see you reappear with all of these strangers, and then to see 4 new hatchlings that could theoretically experience all the same things that the 2 of you did. We'll say that this is a combination of like your internal monologue and what Jordmer is telling the group. And she kind of picks back up. I don't know if Ashik will be okay. Ashik has made some choices. Things I think they hope will change the way that they have fit into this community for a long time. And I don't know that it will, and I know that the cost won't be worth it. The river worm demands much and gives little.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you all want to know? Anything else you want to do? I think we had discussed perhaps a full rest, long rest.
Yeah.
Might not be a bad idea. Unless Cyrus thinks that the trail might go cold.
Yeah, I mean this close, I think I'm less worried about the trail going cold since the tether is proving to be pretty accurate. Whether or not it's important that we catch Argent and Stultus before they get wherever they're going with whoever they have is hard to say.
Right. And since we don't know what they're doing, we can't really gauge that.
Mhm.
So, but Cyrus also doesn't feel like the right person to judge need for a rest since he's at full.
Yeah, Lexi's about half, so
I'm running low on magic.
Yeah.
I could definitely benefit from a full rest because I'm also how many times have I raged? Let's see here. Yeah, I only have one more rage left before I have to have a long rest. So might be a good idea to try and long rest here before.
That makes sense. But it's probably nicer here than
In the
Yeah.
middle of the woods. Yeah.
Yeah, and since we're sure to probably pretty soon run into a big fight.
Or a big conversation. I hold out hope.
Okay.
All right, so y'all are going to take a long rest?
Yep.
All right. So, with some judicious use of curtains, part of one of these spaces is partitioned off for you all. It is like either sleeping bags on the floor or pulling up some pillow pile. But you all are able to safely get a long rest.
Lexi wants to know, this is one of her midnight thoughts. Arik, how do dragonborn babies get named?
Well,
Because she's been bonding with this little one, doesn't know what to call it,
normally we
or
give
if
it
it's a boy or a girl.
fairy names are interesting, but as far as the
Okay.
names we actually give them, normally we give them a little bit of time for a personality to develop and just give them a name based on that. Unless there's something really obvious about how they look,
Okay.
like you know,
Amber.
auric means gold scale.
Yeah.
Akish means green.
Right.
We're not always the most clever people here, okay? We
Just curious.
we can be clever with the 99% that are pure silver.
Yeah, you can be clever when you have to be.
I think also on like a metaphysical level, like the true name is something you just know. Like at some point, it just they just realize what their true name is because, in a weird sense, the name almost sort of precedes the creature. Fae sort of grow into necessary archetypes. And it's not quite as this is like the weird fuzzy zone in the middle where it's like super true of like the big Fae. So like for example, I think you all have heard this before. If not, it's sort of like fairy gossip and you would have heard it somewhere. Lady Bren is not the first Lady Bren.
Right.
She fully died a couple of centuries ago and is basically regrowing into the same person that she was.
Okay.
In the same way, like something as simple as like a moat will be almost a carbon copy.
Yeah.
In the middle, the sort of like freewheeling humanoids, they have a little more flexibility. It's almost less of like a specific personality and almost just more like there are 251 silver dragonborn in this certain radius and they exist. And what they do with that is a little more flexible.
Since Cyrus doesn't really need to rest all that much, I think he might try to like, I don't know, like meditate on this tether and see if he can like learn anything else about it, or like if it's possible to communicate at all through it. Just kind of spend his time kind of like poking at it, essentially, like, can he figure anything else new about it?
Give me an Arcana check with advantage.
'22.
Nice.
So imagine that there is a pipe. And on one end of the pipe, there is like a small tank. On the other end of the pipe is an overflowing lake.
Start raining. Raining.
If both ends of the pipe are open, the lake comes rushing through with incredible force. You are the small tank. You open yourself up to this connection, and so much comes back to you. You have no idea if this could possibly be a two-way conversation. Where have you set up for sort of this meditation? Just sort of in the same space?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think Cyrus would want to be wandering around.
Um, Auric and Lexi, give me perception checks with disadvantage.
Right, because we're trying to sleep.
Yep.
I rolled a 20 and a 1.
Oh,
no.
man. I rolled an 18 and a 7, so I rolled a 10.
I'm going to roll for Vela, who is not great. It's weird that I can only access the roller on certain pages. We'll do Marta as well. So that's going to be... They get a +2 and a +1, respectively. So this is Vela with +1. Vela got an 11. Marta doesn't roll with disadvantage because Marta doesn't sleep. She trances, but she only got an 11 as well. So, our third person omniscient viewpoint sees Cyrus settle in to begin meditating, trying to sort of touch this connection. And almost immediately, it seems like it is not working as hoped. Cyrus goes gray. Like his skin tone just fully drops into the gray all over, and with a slow, almost painful, methodical pace, starting from your fingertips, very, very slowly, talon, feather, 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 talon, feather, just incredibly slowly. You're not even aware of that because it's almost like you have been plugged. If this was a 90s TV show, this would be like if you like plugged into the whole internet at once. You're just bombarded with sounds and images. You see Alex and Sana. You see little flashes. A lot of the flashes are of them arguing. Sana has gotten to like a decent level of modern common, but there's still some like broken phrases, and like she like slips into like the Tuathan and ancient common sometimes. They argue, they fight, but sometimes you see them like cooking together. Sometimes you see them like curled up on a couch together, eating, like passing a tub of ice cream back and forth and watching some like awful reality TV show. And Alex has to keep explaining why things are funny or weird.
Sana being like, people like this shit?
Pretty much.
This is entertainment? What's wrong with you people?
And you see another flash, and you are standing in a house. And the house reeks. Not in a... It's not a smell you're familiar with as Cyrus, per se. To Mort, it reeks of fey magic. And there is an unpleasantness to that. The same way that if you walked into like a hoarder house and there was like rotting food smells and things, Mort perceives the magic the same way. And Mort is stalking through this house with incredible speed. Doors are being thrown open. This doesn't look like a place that people live. Like, the rooms aren't... It's not like this is a living room. This is a bedroom. There are just sort of nonsensical arrangements of every possible imaginable thing. And you find a basement. You find a door leading down. And you see there in the dark, barely illuminated by a glowing circle on the ground. And you see a pale child with dark hair laying very limp in this circle on one side. And on the other side, you see the hazy silhouette of another pale, dark-haired child. And the silhouette is filling in, and more of the color is leaching out of the other child. And standing over it is this sort of sleek, almost featureless thing. It has this sort of smooth white skin. In places, it almost looks like marble, but there is a fleshy quality to it. There's no mouth. It's almost like a... what are they called? Those like spandex suits that go over someone's whole body. It's like that. Like,
Morph suit.
Morph suit. It's like almost sort of like a marble morph suit over the face. Like there are large dark eyes, but over the mouth and the nose, there's no openings. And as you stalk into this basement, this creature looks up, and the large dark eyes go huge. And it becomes flickering and disconnected. There are flashes of steel and violence and opalescent blood. And that vision blends perfectly, and you are standing at the edge of a river, and there are fires everywhere. The trees are burning, bodies are burning, and you are flicking the same opalescent blood off of your swords as two more silver dragonborn are cut down. The sound of calling birds fills the air, and you feel the pressure. You feel the presence of this being that you can only describe as divine. And just the presence of it urges you to battle. You feel driven to fight and to fight and to fight. But this battle is lost. You see titanic forms rising up in the distance. The lords are joining the battle, and this territory too is lost. And the vision fades, and for just a second, you hear water. and you see blue and green and purple light filtering down through a grid, through bars up above you. And you can gently feel yourself sort of rocking back and forth. And you tilt your head and you say, Cyrus? And you snap back to yourself.
And like,
Did that wake you up too, kitten? She was falling asleep on the coffee table.
when I come back, am I feathered or does that dissipate pretty quick?
Give me a perception check. We'll call it flat.
$17.
I think you're aware of it. You're sort of dazed for a moment, but the physical sensation of it catches your attention. There's almost like an itching. And you look, and up to about halfway down your hand is gray from like midway to fingertip. And ever so slowly, feathers are almost sort of being like sucked back into the skin. It's happening faster than it started, not that you would know.
Yeah.
And you're able to watch as like the last couple of talons like and you have normal sort of human flesh tone hands with human fingernails. You also become aware. I don't know if you would see it immediately, depending on how sort of secluded you were. But the next time that you like get up and are sort of in line of sight, the dragonborn hatchling with the gray scales is staring at you like unerringly, just like.
Looks like Cyrus became a father, whether he meant to or not.
No, I just think Oryx. I think that Dragonborn is from Oryx Grey Lady, and it's recognizing a connection.
Or that.
I don't think it's from my power.
But it wants to be. Look at those soulful eyes.
All right. So there is potentially, I would assume that didn't take you a full 8 hours per se. There are a few places in town. You caught what looked at least like the brewery, which is like the main sort of industry of town. You saw what looked like maybe some kind of tinker or smith shop, and what looked like some kind of restaurant is not quite the right phrase, but maybe more like a mess hall sort of space. Or you can catch a nap.
Meanwhile, Oric rolls over and plugs his ears with some gold coins.
Yeah. Uh, it's strange to sleep in fairy after you've been sleeping in the human world. Lexi for your whole life, and Auric for the first time in almost a year, I think. Sleeping here is vivid and strange. Lexi, you don't have like a new vision, but it's almost like all of the dreams that you've been having sort of crash together in this kaleidoscopic fever dream. You see places and people. You see Woody and Caleb and Tyler. You hear Banner's like big booming laugh in the background. The sloshing of the mead elemental as it sort of like bounces along the ground. And mixed in, you see the dark figure with the single burning eye. You see the Kate Sea trailing along the edges of your vision. You see the book and the rod. You see the Hall of Light. Light broken into fragments by crystals and glass and prisms and scattered everywhere. You see the feather turned crystal in your hand. When you look again, it has changed from the crystal into a distinctly organic burning white eye. Auric, your dreams are weirdly quiet. The only thing in there is the same burning questions that have been lingering over you since you came here. And you all wake up. Morning has come. You hear the sound. Actually, you all went to bed at a slightly strange time.